Starship Troopers Extermination is a 16-player co-op FPS that puts you on the far-off front lines of an all-out battle against the bugs. Squad up, grab your rifle and do your part as an elite deep space vanguard trooper set to take back planets claimed by the arachnid threat. And yes, this game does put you in the far-off front lines of an all-out battle. So this review was done through Steam or PC Gameplay, and this game is made by the developers of Squad, if you've ever heard of that game. In terms of how long to beat the game, it depends how much you want to play it. There's a leveling system, different game modes and difficulties. It's an online co-op game, and it took about 2.5 hours-ish to reach rank 5, which unlocks the other mode that's available in the initial early access build of the game. So I mean, you could play it for an hour and a half and get some satisfaction from that. You could play it for 20, 30 plus hours. It depends how much you enjoy the game. In terms of the file size, it's sitting at around 10 gigabytes. And this game is going to cost you £21 and is currently in early access. When it comes to early access, they are planning to keep the game developing through that early access phase for around a year. In the 1.0 launch, whenever they get it done, they are planning to include additional weapons, enemy types, class progression upgrades, lots and lots of different stuff, even different planets and everything. And when it comes to how the game runs, this one runs really, really well, besides frame drops that can be quite drastic when the screen is full of lots and lots of bugs and there are loads of players in a small area together. Because this game is a matchmaking game that's based on 16 players in the same session. And for what it is, it does run really well. You'll see just how crazy it actually gets later in the gameplay part of this review. And there's also been a couple of very infrequent issues like the main menu locking up and forcing a restart of the game, but nothing game-breaking. When I say the menu locking up, trying to matchmake for a session, like to find the match and jump in and play, that just doesn't activate or anything like that. So I've had to close the game down a couple of times, relaunch it, but that has fixed it. And then into the gameplay portion of the review for Starship Troopers Extermination. The only regions that are available are US West, Central and East, and there is Europe West too. So lag might be an issue for some players that are going to jump onto the game. There are 3 different trooper types because this is an FPS. You've got your different classes. There are Hunter, Bastion and Operator. Hunter is your assault class, Bastion's your heavy, and Operator is basically your support, your medic. And there is also a tutorial to this game. It's really, really cool, but it only teaches you about the building in the game because it's an FPS, but there is base building as well. In the tutorial, there's nothing about mission objectives or killing creatures, but that's just going to fall into place rather quickly when you've got big bugs right in your face trying to eat you. And they do get right in your face. In terms of game modes in this one, you have quick play, so it'll search for any of the game modes available. But the very first one you will have available is going to be called AAS, or Advanced and Secure. And basically you are doing different objectives, you're capturing territory and stuff, and then you have to build a base, defend yourself, and then get to an extraction point. You then also have Arc, which is played a little bit differently. That's unlocked when you are player rank 5, so you get your character levels and then you get a player level as well. And then coming soon, they have a Horde mode planned. And all of these modes at the moment can be played across 3 different difficulties, being easy, normal, hard. And there is also a 4th difficulty called Hero of the Federation that is coming soon. Matchmaking has been very, very quick, choosing quick play, playing on medium difficulty. They estimate it's going to take around 1 minute 30 seconds or something, but it normally takes about 15-20 seconds. Then it just sets the game up and you are in. No struggle to get into a match whatsoever. And also another thing I really like about this game is you are not limited to a certain amount of classes per squad, because the 16 of you in the match are going to be split up into different squads of 4. There's 5 squads to choose from, so obviously 5 times 4 would be 20. But you can just pick a squad that you want to join, and you don't have to have specific classes playing in each of the squads. So you are free to play with your favourite class in every single match you play. And then, you're going to die quite a bit in this game. Straight away into the gameplay, there was a brutal attack on one of our refineries, and I was the one that went down. I've probably, in my few hours of playing the game, I think it's about 4 hours I've played altogether, I think I probably died a good 50 times or something like that. The bugs can get on top of you very, very quickly. And with starting playing AAS, Advanced and Secure, there are multiple objectives that you can have, from killing a certain amount of enemies to collecting ore and taking it to your silo, then going on and building a full-on base, and the base building in this game is amazing. But when you get to the objective to build a base and defend, after defending your base you are going to need to extract, and you can get some pretty epic extraction battles at the dropship, especially if you're one of the first players there, because obviously when you're there, you're relatively safe, so it's your job to turn around and protect your team as they're making their way to the dropship. And there's an okay variety when it comes to the bugs. There are some really, really cool bugs in the game. Like, obviously, they're trying to kill you. They're nasty things, but they are really cool at the same time, especially when you get to the higher infestation levels. Also, when you have a certain objective where you've got to take out, like, basically elite arachnids. There's even going to be some that spew out this blue stuff, like the explosion of them dying is blue instead of the typical green. And the higher infestation levels lead to some very nasty bugs coming at you. There's even bugs in this game that shoot at you. And there is a very, very high amount of them that can come at you at the same time, as you're going to see in the gameplay in the background. And then after making a little bit of progress in the game, I started unlocking new stuff. And one of those things was reaching level 2 with the Bastion or the Heavy class. And my recommendation is do not hip fire with the saw and don't even ADS and try shooting. Make sure you use your class ability by pressing C, put your little bunker thing down, and you'll stop the crazy, crazy recoil. Because I mean, the saw bounces everywhere. And then I thought I'd just quickly chuck in a clip. This is exactly what happens when your team don't work too well together. But we still actually somehow made it out with the extraction dropship. I've played a few matches where a lot of the teams just run off, like there's a few lone wolves like here and there, just trying to do their own thing. They rush to the extraction. They just pretty much stand in a corner. They don't do anything to try and help the rest of the team get out alive. But for the most part, like most of the teams have been incredibly helpful with everything, building up the base. We've made some really, really cool bases. And then when you're trying to carry a canister, like full up with ore or even gas, you will have some players that will shoot the bugs that are coming after you. If you go down, they'll get you back up, and they'll even sometimes take the canister and carry it for you, and you can cover them. It's a really, really team-based game. There's voice chat and everything like that in the game. And then I thought I'd also chuck it into the review so that you guys can see it. There are green, there's orange, yellow, and even blue explosions and stuff that happen everywhere in this game. And also, one thing I really like is there are day and nighttime maps. So it's essentially like on the same planet, but like depending on the game you're going into, sometimes it's going to be daytime, others it will be nighttime. And I really like that, especially in an early access release. You see a lot of early access releases coming out with not too much variety, but I feel the developers have done fantastic with the early access release of this game. And when it comes to base building, there is so much stuff that you can build at the base to really fortify your defending position. Some of those will include ammo crates, bunkers, walls that have ramps on them so you can run up and stand on the top of the walls, towers, you can climb the ladder and stand there and defend from the tower. There's even like machine gun posts, you can pin them to gates and everything like that. And they're just going to mow down the bugs as they're making their way towards your base. And as I mentioned at the start of the review, I did have an issue where it took a while to try finding a server. I was about 2 to 3 minutes into the search, so I cancelled it and everything froze on the game. So I ended up having to do a full restart of the game, but it did work straight away upon relaunching the game, so it's not a major problem. It's just something that is there, and hopefully over time they'll get that sorted. And something else I would really like to see for the full release, so I don't expect it anytime soon or anything like that, but they kind of need to work on how choppy the frame rate does get when there's lots happening on screen. Things can occasionally get really, really, really choppy, but it's only happened a couple of times where it gets really bad. Every now and then it'll just like drop your frames a little bit, but there's the odd time here and there where it's gonna drop to maybe about 20 FPS. And upon reaching rank 5, unlocking the arc mode, I don't think many people play this mode. I'm not sure if it's just the fact that they don't really enjoy it, or if there's not many people that are rank 5 yet. And I say that because I joined a match and there were only 3 other players at the start. It took a while to fill up, although it did eventually fill itself out. We had a full team of 16. And it's a little bit different to Advanced and Secure, because Advanced and Secure, you're starting with random objectives, and then you eventually get to the end where you build a base and defend. In the Arc mode, you start off by building a base, then you go and gather gas and ore, and then you bring all of that back to your base, you defend the objective at the base, and then you extract after. And a little tip just to wrap up the gameplay section of the review: if you do have players in your team that are just building random stuff and enjoying themselves and doing whatever, if they're wasting your limited structures, because for an example, you can have 8 towers, you can have 4 like machine gun posts or whatever you want to call them. There are like limits to the structures. I believe it's something like 40 walls as well. If there are people on your team that are wasting your structures, you can just hold down the right mouse button with your repair like build tool out. Instead of your left mouse button to build it, you can hold down your right mouse button and actually destroy the structures. You do get that structure back so that you can build it somewhere else, somewhere that's going to be more efficient to help the team. Then on to the conclusion of this review. As I've stated, the game can get a little bit choppy as you're in matches, but it's with 16 players, and when the screen is filled with bugs, like you would have seen in the gameplay, it gets rather hectic in this game, but the game is fucking awesome. I've had a lot of fun playing this one, and at first I was disappointed to spawn in as the Bastion, my very first time playing, thinking I would get to try a different weapon to what you do with the Assault class. But it spawned me with the same weapon as the Hunter class, and then I realised all classes in this game are going to start with the exact same weapon. What you need to do is make it to level 2 in order to start unlocking class-specific weapons, and you also need to equip them, so don't forget to do that. You do not get to just use them automatically. And some teams will be better than others. I want to just make sure everyone understands that. It all depends how everyone plays, and it's a 16-player match-made game only. There's no private servers or anything like that, although you can invite your friends along to play with you. So it gets a little bit frustrating sometimes if you're in a bad team, but then other times you'll get into a really good team and you'll have way more fun. And sometimes you're still going to have fun in a bad team. It just depends on how you feel when, like, your personal playstyle, with if you want to try hard and win and do the objectives, or if you want to just lay back, chill, build a base, kill some bugs and have some fun. And my favourite class in this game is the operator or support class, because the stims are so helpful. You can heal yourself, you can heal others, you can also revive if you press your right mouse button when someone's down with the stim, but you also get a medical UAV at the start. Like, you unlock different things as you level up that character, but the medical UAV is an incredible gadget in this game. You just deploy it, it goes around reviving. It's really, really helpful for the team. I'm not at all the biggest fan of the Heavy or the Bastion class, because it relies a little bit too much on that little bunker thing that you can deploy around your character. And when you're using the saw, you're pretty much going to need it. It's not that it relies on it, it's that it's absolutely necessary to stop the crazy recoil. And when you're in that little bunker thing, you're unable to move at all. You can spin around, but you can't move from your position until you destroy it. And another tiny little nitpick is the saw weapon only comes with 1 reserve mag, so altogether you get 300 rounds, 150 in your mag, then a reserve mag with 150 rounds in, whereas the starting gun in the game gives you 600 rounds. So, like, in my opinion, it could do with a little bit more balancing so that the ammo is a little bit better for the saw, but at the same time there are perks and stuff in the game you can get for your characters, and there is one that will give you extra magazines. And then to wrap this one up, I am looking forward to trying the Horde mode when it's launched. I really, really enjoyed this game. I highly recommend picking it up, as the developers have done a fantastic job with the early access release. And that's from the base building, the bug killing, to the classes and their weapons like the operator sniper, which is crazy, crazy powerful. And on that note, we are going to leave the video there. If you enjoyed it, leaving a like is appreciated. If you wish to support me further as a creator, there are links in the description. Let me know your thoughts about the video in the comments. And if you want to watch more, you can click the video on screen. All support on the channel is greatly appreciated, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching.